Our Capitol Bureau Chief, Mark Maxwell, is live in Springfield tonight with more. So, Mark, the governor sold off any stocks or investments in companies with state contracts when he took office.
Now that Governor Pritzker is in office, he says he has no control over his investments, and he claimed he didn't even know about this particular one until reporters started asking him questions about it recently. The campaign for Aurora Mayor, Republican Richard Irvin, calls those claims baffling and unbelievable.
We have a blind trust in place.
When Governor-elect J.B. Pritzker was preparing to swear the oath of office, he put his investments in the hands of Northern Trust under terms that prohibit direct or indirect communication.
I have no ability to direct anybody to make an investment or to disinvest.
A letter from Pritzker's election attorney also said he divested any personally held direct interests in companies that have contracts funded with Illinois tax dollars.
I am not involved in making any investment decisions.
But that blind trust does allow him to see which investments are in his portfolio.
By law, I have to sign a statement of economic interest. I think that's a terrific thing. The state should keep that in place. I sign that every year. There are no values associated with any of the items on that.
At the time, Pritzker said if any of his companies turned a profit on state contracts,
we would donate those dollars to charity.
But a new report from the Better Government Association revealed Pritzker's trust bought stock in a massive Medicaid contractor named Centene, and that stock is up.
Centene had a contract with the state of Illinois before I became governor. It was the prior governor that signed that contract. That contract went into place before I got into office.
Centene's Illini Care plan charged the state $2.6 billion in the first half of 2021, according to the BGA. And when a Senate Democrat, Dave Kaler, pushed a law to claw back some of those pandemic-era profits, Pritzker's office opposed it.
Oh, that's kind of a ridiculous connection.
The governor's office says current law already allows Illinois to claw back excess profits from managed care organizations under the state's Medicaid program, but Centene's time for review just hasn't happened yet.
It would be a mistake if there was some conflict of interest or if I was engaged in it in any way. I was not, and there is not.
Here's the catch. In order for Governor Pritzker to realize any profit, his trust would have to sell off whatever stock position they hold before he could donate that amount to charity. And we just don't know if that trust still holds that stock today, if they sold it off at some lower value in the past. And his campaign attorney says when he's out of office, they will give him a form. And he can look at that form, take that amount, calculate it, and then donate it to charity. We'll have to trust him to do just that in the meantime. Also, people close to Pritzker scoff at the insinuation that a person already worth $3 billion would have to run for governor to try and get rich. Reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell.